Alrighty, howdy everyone. Welcome to the Ocali Tip-Off. Today, there's a big time men's basketball game going on tonight. The Oklahoma State Cowboys are visiting the number 8th ranked nationally, the UCONN Huskies, who are also undefeated. UConn coming in as an 8.5 point favorite. This is a huge non-conference game for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, no, it's a great game. So far been a pretty good start to the season for both squads. Great start all around in general, and I think this is going to be a really good game for Oklahoma State. Just kind of test them honestly on the road.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest game, at least from a rankings national standpoint, that Oklahoma State has. They're not playing anyone till Big 12 play that's really ranked that high yet. So it's just a really big game for Oklahoma State and can really set the tone with how the season goes, depending on how the outcome of this game is. Speaking about Oklahoma State here, they're coming in. They're 1-3 in a row after suffering an overtime loss in the tournament over the weekend. They're 9th in a very tight Big 12 race, which it's non-conference play, so that doesn't really matter. And the big thing to know, they're on the road tonight. It's their second true road game. Their first road game was a win on the road against Oakland.
Yeah. Obviously we're going to break down these players more throughout the show, but so far they've looked solid. They've looked all right. Definitely places that they're strong and places to improve. I agree. Seeing that Oakland game being the one true away game in someone else's arena, it was really impressive to see them go out and do very well. So, yeah, at UConn, that's a big basketball play.
Big game.
I'm very excited to see where that stands with how far this season's gone so far.
Yeah. A quick note to start off with the UConn here. As I mentioned to start, they're an 8-0 start. They are ranked 8th in the AP. They're tied for first in the Big East, which is a really good conference for basketball. And if they were to beat Oklahoma State tonight, they're obviously going to go to 9-0. The last time UConn started 9-0 was back in 2013 to 2014 season. They won the national championship game. So, however, and UConn wants that history to repeat because the other history in this game, OSU and UConn have met twice. OSU is 2-0 versus UConn all time. So there's some interesting history going back specifically for UConn in this game, which is really setting the stage of hopefully what is a really good Big East Big 12 showdown.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for at least for OSU, a month from tomorrow is when Big 12 play starts, playing West Virginia, January 2nd. So we're getting to that kind of turning point, starting to see some good teams, and a little interesting background now. Some things at stakes possibly for UConn. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. The game is on FS1. It starts at 5:30. Tune in. It's gonna be a big one. Arguably the biggest of the year. I really wish that this game was at Gallagher-Iba. I think that would have been a really fun game. Unfortunately, it's not. But they did pick up 2 home wins this past weekend. Got to switch things up on the road.
Now, you said possibly biggest game. You were telling me before the show, and if you want to say it again, what did UConn's coach say about this game?
All right, big thing, and I'll probably mention it throughout the show here. So UConn's head coach, Dan Hurley, I read on the UConn preview for this game on their website here. UConn's head coach said this about Oklahoma State, and I quote, "Oklahoma State is a quality team, an NCAA tournament team, a top 30 type team. They have a top 25 defense, they present problems on the backboard, and they're deep and physical. Here's the big thing. It's going to be our toughest game of the year. We know that. We have to be ready to go." That is UConn saying that Oklahoma State is their toughest game of the year, and UConn plays in the Big East. Yeah. That's a pretty good conference there in basketball, and to say that this game could be the biggest one of the season is huge.
Yeah,
so.
I mean that's a respect factor.
It is
nonetheless, but you're playing teams like Crichton, Marquette, Villanova, maybe not having the best, but Xavier, that's some big respect there.
Oh yeah,
it makes it even more of an interesting game.
Really just hypes up this game nationally as well because, going in Oklahoma State, they don't got the number next to their name, which kind of just devalues to most of the watching audience. It kind of devalues Oklahoma State, but they're 5-2. They played pretty well up to this point, and then of course it's UConn who. Is just moving their way up in the rankings undefeated.
Yeah, and honestly, though, looking so far how this season's gone, anything is possible.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen some crazy games, only maybe 5 to 7 games, depending on your team, into the season. We've seen some really good upsets, really crazy games.
Oh, yes.
Teams like Iowa State beating UNC, and just all around the league. So I wouldn't necessarily count out the underdog in any game this season.
No, definitely. This is shaping up to be a really good season of college basketball, which I'm really hyped for.
Yeah.
Especially when things start getting into the conference play and getting into March. But we're not there. We're not quite there yet. Instead we've got some impressive non-conference games. Moving on a little bit forward, not only do we have a big game tonight against UConn. Tuesday, I think it is when they play Sam Houston State at home. I think it's the last home game before Christmas break. They play Sam there, who is also undefeated, and they upset OU in the opening night, I think, for the Sooners. So,
it's really good. It's really good. Like we've said, it's kind of ramping up now, and an undefeated team at home, and now an undefeated team on the road today.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. And then from there, there's a couple other big non-conference games before they start moving into Big 12 play. All right. That's it for the opening segment of the O'Colly Tip-Off. Back to going to commercial break, and then we'll be back here for more.
Over the years, we kind of realized that you can get ribs anywhere, you can get a steak anywhere, but you can't always get a Mountain View hot link like ours. So we really decided to focus on that niche and realized we had something really special. So that's when we started focusing more on the hot links, but it's still the same family recipe they were making all those years ago. For us, many of our people that work here have been with us for years and decades. So whereas machines kind of break down over time, the people just get better. And it shows in the products we produce. When you buy a Mountain View product, not only is it gonna taste dynamite, but you're also feeding Oklahomans. You're helping employ Oklahomans, and you're helping to fund the state's economy. So what's better than that?
We use the very best of the best ingredients. Demerara sugar is the best that is. Very high quality fruits, berries. The milk we use is the best milk there is. That's what makes our product stand by itself. I like to make yogurt because I like to eat yogurt. We've been doing this for ourselves for many years because it's a tradition in our family. And we want to have a product which would be very similar to French yogurt, but with our touch of uniqueness. Linking our name, our product, with the reputation of the Made in Oklahoma Coalition was probably the best thing we have done as far as promoting our product.
Welcome back to the O'Colly Tip-Off here as Oklahoma State, the men's basketball team's got a really big game against the UConn Huskies tonight. For this segment, we're going to go look more about the previous games, the games that OSU has already been to. A 5-2 record. Some fans might be disappointed with that. Some fans might use that as a reason as to, oh, well, that's not really a good team to go watch or go. But if you look more into the schedule, you look more into the teams that we played, OSU's played, and you look more into how OSU's played those games and the outcomes. It's really been a really good season so far to start for OSU.
Yeah, no, I've been really liking the way they're playing. You think back to last season, not really playing for much, can't make the tournament, and so I think this season, hearing from Mike Boyden a lot recently too. You really want to take it. Hands on the horns, go for it. So it's been really good so far, in my opinion. 5-2, obviously not what you want to see, losing to South Illinois and UCF. But I agree, we've seen some very, very promising aspects.
Yes, and for some people, another reason that they don't want to watch or tune in or go to the games is, they're not playing big time guys. Well, that doesn't mean just because they don't have the name value doesn't mean that they're not good teams. For example, UT Arlington, I went to the first 2 home games. I was out of town for the last 2 home games. But the first 2 home games I was here, UT Arlington, they might not be UT, but they're still a pretty quality basketball squad, because if I remember correctly, a few years back when we had Cade Cunningham here, Cade Cunningham, OSU, played UT Arlington in a much closer game than I think it was their opening game. So UT Arlington's not a bad team. Southern Illinois, there were plenty of promising aspects. It just ran away with us at the end. Oakland we talked about them earlier. They're still pretty solid squad. Central Florida's a good American squad, American athletic squad. They're coming to the Big 12 next year. So just because it's UCF, they're coming to the Big 12 next year. Like, just relax. And then DePaul is always pretty good. Tulsa and Prairie View maybe not so good, but the intended result happened with blowout wins.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, that's what I love about basketball, honestly, and I love about college basketball. Any team can make March Madness. Any team can show up. So while, like you said, they might not have the name value, these are really good games being played, and OSU is being tested. So while, it's kind of scary to see these UConn teams now show up in our schedule, it's not like it's been just an easy road so far.
Exactly.
You're still having to play these games and really evaluate your team against good opponents. So it shouldn't be a shock tonight, in my opinion, facing a team like UConn.
And comparing that to also UConn themselves, we might touch more into their schedule. But outside of the Phil Knight tournament that they played, where they beat Oregon, beat Alabama, and beat Iowa State, some really good teams out of that. But outside of that, the rest of their non-conference schedule, first off, UConn has not played a true away game. Okay, so outside of the neutral site tournament, 3 games that they played, the previous 5 all been at home. Not really a factor because they're playing another home game today, but it's still something to think about. And those 5 games are not exactly against the most pristine programs either. So maybe, UConn's obviously good. They're ranked 8th. They're undefeated for a reason. They beat some quality teams, but they've also beat up on some not-so-quality teams. So maybe, as now this isn't a neutral site, not the tournament anymore, so maybe that we catch UConn a little bit off guard tonight with the Oklahoma State basketball team, who's played a pretty tough schedule up to this point.
Yeah, and I don't want to doubt on UConn, but it goes kind of to a muscle memory thing in a fact where the best teams you've played so far are in neutral sites.
Right.
So you go back home, and so far you've played Stonehill, Boston University, Buffalo, UNC Wilmington, and Delaware State.
Not the greatest.
Not the greatest teams at home so far. So it's going to be a little bit change of pace in their own home arena.
Yeah, we'll see. You want to start with the good or the bad about Oklahoma State?
Let's start with promising.
Let's start with promising. All right, the defense has been spectacular. And in a lot of big defensive categories, Oklahoma State has really done phenomenal here. And as I pull up some of the numbers here pretty much, if you look, so opposing field goal percentage, that's, making shots, they're 15th, so that means that they've got the 15th best, so 15th lowest in NCAA and opponents making their shot. That's top 4% of 352 schools. That's top 4%. And then three-point percentage has also been good, and opponents' points per game has also been good. So defense is really the biggest, most promising aspect, starting with Moussa Cisse at in the center there.
Yeah, speaking of Moussa Cisse, you literally have the best defensive player from the Big 12 last year. So defense has been very promising, good Big 3, and they should be the rock for this team.
Oh, yeah. We'll get more into OSU basketball, more specific into the players here. We'll head to a commercial break, and we'll be back here in a second.
My name's Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate.
Fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.
We would design something, it was set on the counter, and people was either, if enough of them said, this isn't it never made to the line. Dad was excited that they're all original. They were all designed on Mom's kitchen table, and it gets in your blood after a while.
We're very happy that Pamela and Michael have taken over the business and kept the family going.
We took the business over in 2017. When we found that it was available, we wanted to keep the legacy of family alive, but it was also incredible products that deserved to be a part of Made in Oklahoma's story. We were a part of Made in Oklahoma years ago, and so it kind of grew as Made in Oklahoma grew.
Oklahoma is ingrained into our everything that we did. We've been here most of our life. That's what we entailed our whole business on, was the Oklahoma homegrown feeling.
All right, welcome back to the O'Colly Tip-Off here as we keep talking about the Oklahoma State defense and how so far they're doing. As we said, they're in the top 15% of college basketball teams, all 352 of them, in terms of defensive statistics here, and the big defensive statistics. That's really impressive to see. One more thing I want to mention is a really good defensive statistic is points per possession, which is pretty much like it is what it is. It's points per possession. Yeah. So, and a lower number for defense is always good because that means, I mean, if you're averaging half a point a possession, that means it takes 2 possessions for a team to score 1 point. Yeah. So, and Oklahoma State is at .76, which is really impressive. A really impressive statistic there.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're looking amazing on defense, and, you know, the Big 12 is a really hard conference, and so if we're going to compete, it's going to be because of our defense. The big three, and I think that's the big guys to look at. Musa Cisse, obviously, like we said, Defensive Player of the Year. Definitely. Really good. And then you got the guy right by his side in the starting lineup, and Caleb Boone. Their 1 and 2 punch has been amazing. And then you got a guy, Tyreek Smith, coming off the bench, recent transfer from Texas Tech. So those big three have really been a big impact for that team. And I mean, they're 15th in opponent field goal percentage, 40th in 3-point percentage. And like you said, top 15% in points per game. The defense is really the strong suit for this team, and you need that to stay consistent throughout the year.
Yeah, and those are the 3 highlights on the defense. Everyone on the Oklahoma State, when they play defense, everyone's good. Yeah. So there's not really necessarily a super weak link in the OSU defense. That's really just been the biggest good thing about this team. Now, moving on to the bad, and unfortunately, you can be as good as you can in defense, but you're going to give up points on defense regardless. And to keep up with that, you're going to have to score, which at certain times of games has not happened.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Obviously, they're still 5-2. They're still scoring points, but I think the deeper aspect, what we're getting to, is the 3-point percentage. And shooting threes has been the very struggle. And honestly, going into the season, I thought it'd be better. You have Avery Anderson in his senior year, really time to shine and take those reins. Bryce Thompson, coming from Kansas, you know, had his first year at OSU last year and now really heating up. And then you get 2 new transfers in John Michael Wright and Caleb Ashby to really help with the shooting, but it just hasn't really come around from the 3-point line.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I'm looking at the other percentages of field goal percentage for the Cowboys as a whole is in the top 32%. So they're in the top third of basketball teams, which is pretty good. Bench point per games is also decent at times. As you said, though, 3-point percentage, they're in the bottom 12%. Bottom 12.
310th team.
Yeah, that not good when it comes to because it's rough. And specifically, those 3-point players that you mentioned that are supposed to be shooting those threes. Obviously, Musa Cisse is not shooting threes. Obviously, so you're not expecting that from him. Caleb Boone, I think it was the game either against Prairie View or Tulsa, hit his first career 3 ever. Right. So you're obviously not relying on him. But it's the Avery Anderson, it's the Bryce Thompson, it's the John Michael Wrights, it's the guards that should be generating the 3-point offense. Avery Anderson is hitting 15% from 3. Yeah. And Bryce Thompson's not doing much better. He's hitting just under 26%. It's bad when 30% is the high point on the offense from 3 from beyond the arc.
And I mean, those two, especially talking about those two, they should be your stars, and they have to. Avery Anderson's been here since the Cade Cunningham years. He knows how this program runs. He knows how Mike Boyden runs it. So he should be the shining star and lead this team. And on the other hand, him and Bryce Thompson should be a great 1 and 2. Yes. I mean, they should have the chemistry that really shines on the court, but if you can't necessarily be consistent from the 3-point line, it's not going to look good. Exactly. And from another aspect is when you have such good guys in the paint, it's easier for teams to really make sure they are concealed because they don't have to worry about the 3-pointers anymore. Right. So going down the line, you almost take away from your big men scoring because they don't have to focus on the 3-point game.
And that's another thing I want to mention. It's like it's not all bad. Like the OSU's still scoring points, and the 3-point is bad. But if you look at like Avery Anderson, he's he's hitting 41% from the field. That's not bad. Bryce Thompson 38% from the field. That's not bad. They're not performing bad on the field. It's just the 3-point range, which really helps the interior offense. That's the big thing there. Is just 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, only one game we scored under 75 points. It's looking really good, but once again, the key factor, it's the Big 12. It's a big conference, and you got to score points.
Yeah, and we'll get more into keys to the game tonight here in the next segment. We're going to head back to commercial break, and then we will be right back.
My name is James Ramidi. Fired Up Stilly is the name of the business, and I'm one of the owners. We all three met, the three owners, working as employees at a similar place like this. What I hope for is for everybody to feel welcome, like family. Not only do I want students to feel welcome to come here and study and use our free Wi-Fi, but also I want adults and families to be able to come in. We've built a connection with a lot of people, and Stillwater's a big community, so we just want to invite everybody to be able to eventually make their way through our doors. Well, definitely the teas, I would say. Most people fall in love with them. They just got a great amount of energy, gets you going through your day, and it just kickstarts you to get everything you need to done. For myself, it would just have to be, being the owner, owning something that, is able to impact other people's lives, and, the way we can affect our community is something that I really have always wanted to do. We love our clients and our customers that come through every day, and we enjoy getting to know them.
Hi, I'm Shauna here at Where the Buffalo Roam in beautiful downtown Pawnee, Oklahoma. We have a lot of beautiful and unique items for sale in the store, but our number one items are Navajo jewelry, Pendleton blankets, and Consuela. It's a great place to shop, a beautiful downtown, so come see us in Pawnee, Oklahoma.
Welcome back to the O'Colly Tip-Off. Last segment here, we're going to go deep and in-depth in the game today against UConn. So another thing, I just want to do a quick overview of something I said at the beginning. I'm not going to go through the entire quote again, but the UConn head coach said that this is going to be UConn's toughest game of the year. So just that's pretty big, and so it's something to just remember going into this. So I've got several keys to the game. Is there anything you want to say first before we dive into that about today's game?
Me personally, when I look at this game, I see a big offensive team versus a big defensive team. UConn favored by 9 points. Over under is 135 points scored.
Yep.
ESPN's giving UConn a 77.9% chance to win. I see a team that's doing really good at home, 5-0, big scoring team, and with their forward Sanogo averaging 18.5 points per game, versus a team who, like we've said, has really shown solid aspects on defense. So I see a big offense versus big defense.
Yeah, and there's a reason why UConn is ranked 8th in the country. They're not just good on offense; they're also really good on defense. Their defensive categories match with OSU's. Yeah. So not only is it a really good defense versus OSU's defense versus UConn's offense, that's a really good UConn defense that's going up against a very streaky Oklahoma State offense. That's something that's the weak point in this game. That's why there's such a big difference in the spread and in the game as a whole.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last 5 games. I almost get taken aback. I look at the last 3. I think, probably against small schools, right? 83-59. Oregon, 82-67.
Alabama, who's ranked
71-53. Iowa State,
quality
who beat
team.
UNC this year.
I know.
So UConn has looked very good, and like we said, they're ranked 8th, but they're not going to be taking Oklahoma State lightly, like the coach said, and so it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some keys. My keys to the game, really. You might have some different ones, but my first thing, and most of these keys are going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. First key I've got is avoid slow starts. That's been a trend I've seen in most games. The 2 games that I saw, that I was at, the UT Arlington game and the Southern Illinois game, It was a very highly contested, tight game through the first 10 minutes. The UT Arlington game was back and forth until there was 5 minutes left in the first half. OSU was able to pull away, as we all know. But the Southern Illinois game, same type of story. OSU took a lead with about 5 minutes left in the first half, and it was looking like, all right, so this is going to OSU's going to cruise to another home win here. And then everything, it looked good, and then it looked bad. And then we'll get more back into the Southern Illinois game here in a second, too. But it's just avoiding slow starts, I think, is a big thing, because it's going to be tough. UConn's got a really good defense, so if you get down early behind early, then it'll be tough times going back.
Yeah, and then on the opposite spectrum, a key for me is you have to be able to finish games. We've already seen a couple where OSU's had a very high lead, and then even in some wins, it gets shortened down to a 3-point win, or like UCF, you have a 15-something point lead. They tie it right at the end and win overtime. So my first key to the game is going to say you have to be able to finish if you have the chance.
Yeah, keep the foot on the gas. That's another thing I was going to take away from the Southern Illinois game. After Oklahoma State kind of pulled away, they were leading the Salukis by 5 at half. Their lead grew to 13 in the second half, and it slowly slipped away until the very end when Southern Illinois, they were outscored 33-19, OSU was, and Southern Illinois eventually ended up taking the game. So keeping the foot on the gas is really good too. So another game I want to point out here, best game. This isn't not really a key, but it's just something I wanted to point out. The best game so far, it was the Tulsa game. That's really the game where everything just kind of went the way it was supposed to. It was tight, as all games always should be. And then OSU started to run away with it, and they kept the foot on the gas and were able to close on a big blowout win at home against Tulsa.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Tulsa game was great. I also think the Oakland game looked very similar in the fact of just being able to get the job done. And, like we said, that's nice to see, especially on the road. Yep. UConn 5-0 at home, our only second game on the road, but yeah, I think that'll be a very good aspect, and hopefully we can mimic our games from those very good successes. Another key to the game I want to add personally, I want to see Avery Anderson just really go off. I mean, like I said, this is a senior, right? This is the guy who's played with Cade Cunningham. He needs to be that guy. You're at the point you need Cade, you need the new Cade Cunningham. You need Avery Anderson to step up.
And Thompson for that matter.
And Bryce
as well.
Thompson, but I'm going to say Avery Anderson specifically. I really want to see him have success.
All right, my last key to the game that I have, and I'm going to get through this really quickly. We talked about it earlier, 3-pointers.
Yeah.
They have to be able to fall because UConn's defensive strength is inside the paint, and that's really the offensive strength. And so you're not going to have a good time working inside the paint and getting those shorter range shots, especially if the 3-pointers aren't fall. Yeah. OSU boasts the Big 12's worst 3-point percentage. And then, like I just mentioned, if perimeter shooting fails, it's going to be a tough time to score. Yeah. And if shooting isn't falling, if the deep shots aren't falling, then abandon it and focus on the interior.
All right, real quick, give me your score prediction.
Score prediction. Yikes. Okay, so we're not expecting a game in the hundreds. Yeah. I got to go with the Cowboys, as always. I'm going to go 54-50.
Wow, low. That's low.
Yeah, hey, two really good defensive teams.
I'm going to go 78-70. OSU.
OSU.
So I'll give it to OSU.
Yeah, let's give some two upsets here. All right. Thank you for watching the O'Cauley Tip-Off.
It's been a great show.
Yeah, it's been a great show. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Go Pokes.
My name is James Ramidi. Fired Up Stilly is the name of the business, and I'm one of the owners. We all three met, the three owners, working as employees at a similar place like this. What I hope for is for everybody to feel welcome, like family. Not only do I want students to feel welcome to come here and study and use our free Wi-Fi, but also I want adults and families to be able to come in. We've built a connection with a lot of people, and Stillwater's a big community, so we just want to invite everybody to be able to eventually make their way through our doors. Well, definitely the teas, I would say. Most people fall in love with them. They just got a great amount of energy, gets you going through your day, and it just kickstarts you to get everything you need to done. For myself, it would just have to be, being the owner, owning something that, is able to impact other people's lives, and, the way we can affect our community is something that I really have always wanted to do. We love our clients and our customers that come through every day, and we enjoy getting to know them.
Hi, I'm Shauna here at Where the Buffalo Roam in beautiful downtown Pawnee, Oklahoma. We have a lot of beautiful and unique items for sale in the store, but our number one items are Navajo jewelry, Pendleton blankets, and Consuela. It's a great place to shop, a beautiful